On the evening of March 3rd, 2022, 39-year-old Kouri Richins crawled into bed, closed his eyes, and drifted off to sleep, not realizing he would be dead within hours. Eric was a loving husband and father of 3 amazing boys. Eric was born May 13th, 1982, in Bountiful, Utah. Eric was an avid outdoorsman. At a young age, he found joy in raising cows and horses while helping his father on their ranch. Like most young boys, he found an interest in sports and was involved in cross-country, basketball, and baseball. As an adult, his passion for sports continued, as Eric coached multiple youth sports teams. After his first marriage ended in divorce, it wasn't long before he tried again. This time with his now widowed wife, Kouri Richins. Like most couples, Eric and Kouri portrayed a loving relationship. Eric owned his own business and provided a wonderful living for his wife and children. In the early hours of March 4th, 2022, Kouri discovered Eric's cold and unresponsive body lying in their bed. Medics and authorities arrived, but they were unable to save Eric. Kouri told authorities she had attempted CPR but was unsuccessful. At the time, Eric's death was ruled an accidental overdose from fentanyl. Kouri was grief-stricken by the death of Eric. Kouri even went on to write a children's book to help her children and others cope with the loss of a parent. But things were not as they appeared. Kouri told authorities that on the night of Eric's death, she had made him a Moscow Mule, which he drank before going to bed. She explained that at some point in the night, she went to check on her 3 boys and ended up falling asleep in bed with one of them. It wasn't until later when she woke up and returned to her and Eric's bed that she found him cold and unresponsive. And according to her, at that time, she attempted CPR before calling for help. That night, authorities noted from some physical evidence, it didn't appear that Kouri had attempted CPR. Most of the topics here on the channel contain gory, gruesome details YouTube won't allow me to discuss on a public-facing video. By joining our lowest Patreon tier, you will gain access to private, uncensored extended versions of most videos, where we go into more detail on the topic of specific videos. We will also be discussing a lot of unsolved cases, so I have created a private Discord for internet sleuths like myself who want to go over the details of cases and hopefully bring some closure to them. To get access to our private Discord, join our Detective Patreon tier. Your support is greatly appreciated and helps make this channel possible. As authorities dug deeper into the couple's life, they discovered more shocking details and red flags. At one point, the couple took a trip to Greece, and during this trip, Eric became extremely ill after eating a meal with his wife. Allegedly, Eric had told some people he believed his wife could have poisoned him. Eric's fears must have been eased because at one point after their trip to Greece, the couple looked at purchasing a multi-million-dollar piece of property. Ultimately, Eric decided against getting the property despite the wishes of Kouri. Not long after, Kouri allegedly modified Eric's life insurance policy to make her the sole beneficiary. But Kouri didn't know that Eric received notifications anytime a policy change was made. It was also around that time that Eric started to suspect Kouri was having an affair. Jump to February of 2022. Kouri makes Eric a Valentine's dinner and Eric once again gets violently ill. He uses an EpiPen and takes Benadryl, and he survives. That leads us to the fateful night in March where Kouri made Eric a Moscow Mule before bed and ultimately finds his dead body. Even though Kouri claims she left her phone on the nightstand as she slept in the children's room that night, phone recordings show someone was texting from her phone and deleting those texts. It is reported that only days after Eric's tragic death, Kouri signed papers to close on the multi-million-dollar property that Eric earlier refused to purchase for her. Kouri intended to use the life insurance money in her inheritance from Eric's death to pay for the property. It wasn't until Kouri received a visit from one of Eric's sisters that she was informed Eric had changed his will and life insurance policy to make his sisters the sole beneficiaries. Kouri was so angry with the news she attempted to sue Eric's estate, claiming that Eric tried to defraud her of her inheritance. It wasn't until authorities received a tip that Kouri had, on more than one occasion and as recently as weeks before Eric's death, purchased quantities of fentanyl, that she was charged with Eric's murder. On Monday, May 8, 2023, Kouri Richins was arrested and charged with aggravated murder and 3 counts of possession of a controlled substance with intent to distribute. She is currently awaiting trial.